Hello and welcome back to Tinker Talks Guns. Revolvers have been around for a long, long time, in practical terms, since about the 1830s. And they're the first reliable repeating handguns. Guns of this type, which is a Smith & Wesson K-frame, originated at the end of the 19th century, and they have a swing-out cylinder so that they can be loaded and unloaded more rapidly. Now, swing-out cylinders actually go back about as far as metallic cartridges, but they didn't come common until the end of the 19th century, when Colt and Smith & Wesson both introduced variants on the theme. But they're still not fast to reload. Now, top break revolvers, of course, exposed the back of the cylinder and were in common use long before swing-out cylinders hit the mainstream in America. And as soon as people came up with the whole cylinder opens all the way thing, they came up with devices to load it even faster, which we now lump under the general category of speed loaders. And yes, they do go back to the 19th century. However, the modern versions go back to the 1960s, early 1970s. And they hold 6 cartridges for a 6-shot revolver and are very simple to use. There are 2 main types, the button type, where there is a button in the center that gets pressed when you stick the speed loader in the cylinder. And we're now loaded. The other type has a twist knob on the back, and you insert it, twist it, and you drop them because you're now reloaded. And in an earnest situation, you're not going to bother hanging on to the speed loader. And there are speed loaders for revolvers holding 8 to 10 shots, even 10 shots in 22, 8 shots for the N-frame 357 Magnums. But most of them hold 6 shots or 5-shot revolvers. Until SHOT Show this year, when REV Industries introduced their 18-shot speed loader. And it's a cunning thing. These are assembled in America, and they are made out of hardened ABS plastic, stainless steel, and some other things. And they can reload your revolver 3 times. Now, 357 Magnum is a little longer than 38, and this is sized for either 38 or 357 Magnum, so it rattles a little bit. And there are some caveats from the manufacturer. Since the bullets are effectively resting against the primer of the bullet above them, they tell you not to use pointy full metal case bullets, because theoretically, if this were dropped, a cartridge could detonate if the bullet was hard enough and pointy enough. Seems like sound advice. In use, it's very simple. It's like the Safariland speed loader, only even simpler. You press it into place at the back of the cylinder, and it drops 6 rounds into the cylinder. And then, when you have fired those 6 rounds, these are dummy rounds, by the way, they have no primers, you do it again. And it's gravity feed, so the revolver has to be upside down. Some of these are a little sticky from when I tried to paint the bases earlier to indicate that they were dummy cartridges. And overall, it works quite well. Except for that one. Holding the gun up in front of the camera is rendering this more difficult than it needs to be. So let's have a look at this thing on the tabletop. So when you get your REV speed loader, it comes in this box. And in the box, there is a package of 4 screws. Only 3 in this one because I screwed up. And this base plate, which is a different base plate. That is because this device can be converted to a single load speed loader if that's what you need. Kind of handy. Now, the way you load this is pretty simple. You insert 6 rounds. And press the button, and they drop all the way down. You insert them the correct way. 6 more rounds. Press the button. And the final 6 rounds. Press the button again, and you're locked in. Now, they do vibrate. I mean, they clack back and forth. 357 is longer, so they would clack less if I were loading 357 in it. The button is centrally located. It presses against the center of the cylinder to release the cartridges. So, it's pretty solid. This is hardened ABS plastic. It has some stainless components internally, and it is held together with self-tapping screws that just tap themselves directly into the plastic body. And it works. Now, you also get instructions to tell you how to use it, how to load it and unload it. And again, there are caveats like not using pointy bullets so that a pointy bullet will not detonate the primer if the device is dropped. And some things like that. What is not included is how you're supposed to install this base onto the single section you can see divided here at the top. Now, these screws are self-tapping screws, and they're big enough that when you drive them into the holes in this, with it placed on the body, they will tap their ways in and hold it secure. Now, I'm only guessing that that's how you're supposed to do it, because there are no instructions, nothing on the website, and nothing in the very few videos I've seen about this product. Now, it's a simple device, as I say, so that's really about all there is to it. We can do, these are dummy cartridges, that one isn't. So we can do some speed loads just in a more convenient, natural way than I did earlier. And you can see it works nicely. And there's your 18 rounds. Almost. Anyway, it's still a little awkward to do this. So, this is a pretty good thing, because you can now carry 18 rounds handy without carrying multiple speed loaders. And speed loaders, the day of the speed loader was really back when standard issue police weapons were almost always revolvers, like the 70s, 80s, and before. And you had to carry pouches for them on your belt. Now, the reason I have so many of these devices is that in the course of filming the video for this, the first one, which I purchased myself, this knob came off. Now, why this knob came off was a function of the self-tapping screw that holds it in place. It tore out of the plastic under use, and that was after about, I don't know, a couple dozen reloads. Now, these were introduced at SHOT Show this year, 2025, and they have sold thousands of them, and my report of the screw tearing out and the button coming off is the only complaint they've had. They've been very forthcoming, and they immediately sent me a replacement. They didn't even ask for the one I'd purchased back. Unfortunately, they got their wires crossed, and 2 different people sent me sent me speed loaders, so I wound up with 2 of them, and I did ask if they wanted one of them back, and they said just keep it and enjoy it. So it's kind of it's kind of a provided product review, and it's kind of a I bought it review. Now, I was able to repair the original speed loader to get the button back in place. And so I turned it into a 6-shot so you could see that. And I have to say they work very well. So let's actually see it in use at the range.
All right. REV Industries 38/357-6A speed loader. 18 rounds of 38 special or 357. Now that's a pretty considerable firepower enhancement, I will say.
So it seems well made, it's clever, and it could have some serious utility for some people. Also, with the longer cartridge of 357, it won't be a baby rattle in your pocket. But it does have some pros and cons compared to a conventional speed loader. Now, a conventional speed loader, you insert it in the cylinder and you drop it when the rounds come out and get on with business, which could be very serious business indeed. This one has to be retained, or else you're just throwing away 12 rounds of ammo or 2 reloads. And that's not going to work for everyone or necessarily every situation. I think it is clever. I think it's a good product. And I certainly plan on using them. Now, mostly I'm going to be using them at the range because it's kind of handy to just have 6 reloads in 2 of these little compact devices and be able to load very easily at the range. That's pretty nice. I don't much carry revolvers usually anymore. And when I do, it's often my J-frame Model 642. Now, before you ask, yes, REV has a 5-shot speed loader in the works. And an interesting thing about these, they don't just work on Smith & Wessons or just Colts or just whatever. This speed loader works on both my K-frame Smith & Wesson, my Colt D-frame, and it worked on a Colt Python when a friend was visiting. So it will also, I'm to be told, work on a GP100 and a variety of other 6-shot revolvers that are all roughly the same size. That's handy. You know, you can have one type of speed loader to cover a variety of revolvers. It simplifies logistics and training. Now, if you need something more compact, you can transition it to its 6-shot form. And I can actually see applications for that as well. So it's really a good value. These are $21.99 on their website. And of course, there's shipping on top of that, which is a not inconsiderable amount these days. But delivery of the first product was very prompt. I purchased it off their website. And they certainly got the replacement and the inadvertent replacement on their way to me very quickly indeed. This video was actually going to be made earlier in the week, but when the first speed loader failed, I waited until I had contacted them and discussed the matter with them. And I have used both of the replacements over and over and over again, seeing if I could replicate the malfunction of the original, and it hasn't happened. They also, as I said, reported that of the 1,000 sold, I am the only one who reported an instance of that. And the threads of the self-tapping screw simply pulled out of the plastic. Now, when I converted this, you have to tap the holes with the self-tapping screws provided to mount it on this section. And it is not easy. This plastic is very, very tough. So it seems not unlikely that the screw was simply not in far enough which allowed it to pull out. I don't know. But I'm certainly satisfied with the customer service. And like I said, for something made of plastic, this is remarkably solid. I'd never heard of hardened ABS before, but I'm liking it. So anyway, that's it for the REV 38/357 6A 18-shot speed loader. And I'm going to be playing with this some more, and you may see this again as time goes forward, because it's pretty neat. Anyway, shout out to my supporters on Patreon. This is very much a shoestring effort, and your contributions help more than you know. I'd also like to thank channel benefactors, those individuals and businesses who have contributed to the channel in innumerable ways and really helped make this work. As always, shout out to Rain City Shooting Center for providing material support to the channel. So, that's it so far. I hope this finds you well. Stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you again real soon.